So give us some background on the equity, diversity, and inclusivity work that's happening at Sheridan College.
I'm really proud to do that. I'll start by telling you I think it's a journey. And I think it's, as an educator, a lifelong learner, I'm not sure there's any greater example of what demands, personal growth, evolution, and lifelong learning than understanding, you know, what equity, diversity, and inclusivity looks like in action, what truth and reconciliation looks like in action. So, you mentioned off the top, I have worked in the post-secondary education sector for more than 25 years. Every time I say that, Leena, I think, oh my goodness, that's that's a long, long time. But this has given me an opportunity. So on my resume, what that says is that I've had the opportunity to learn and live and work, lead in 6 different colleges and universities in the U.S. and Canada. What I often tell people is that that's given me the opportunity to learn from students at 6 different colleges and universities. So, this is an institution, Sheridan is an institution renowned for its commitment to academic excellence. And we believe, and when I say we, I mean, our community has endorsed multiple times formally our view that diversity fuels excellence. But, there is no true diversity if people don't feel safe. There is no equity if people don't feel heard, and if there isn't room at the table for a multitude of voices and lived experience. My job principally, I believe in a service orientation towards leadership, and so at the end of the day, my job really is to steward the organization and our commitment to meeting our priorities, one of which is to ensure that everybody can bring their full selves to the table. And that includes obviously our learners, our employees, faculty and staff, but also guests to our campus. So this has been, it's been a journey, for several years. We have really been taking both tactical, practical, but also kind of cultural steps towards a heightened commitment to EDI. So, very practically, for folks that aren't as familiar with Sheridan, in 2019, we hired our first ever Vice President Inclusive Communities. So my colleague, Dr. Jane Gobia, is charged with responsibility for working horizontally. And she, actively partners with everybody on campus to embed diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of Sheridan's processes, policies, and practices. One of the projects that she worked on, for example, was a review of our HR policies and practices, right? So EDI is codified in our strategic plan as an empowering enabler. And we've been recognized over the past few years for our progress and the courage that I hope people would acknowledge that we've demonstrated. So, we've been recognized for our EDI framework, our EDI action plan. We launched our first EDI self-identification census for employees in 2020, which has really helped us understand, it's provided a snapshot of our employee community that helps us not just cultivate meaningful opportunities to understand, but also to better leverage the diversity, the perspectives, and the lived experiences of our employees. We've implemented mandatory human rights, unconscious bias, anti-oppression, and anti-racism training for all employees, regardless of where they work in the organization. That's included as part of the onboarding for all new hires. We've intentionally disrupted hiring processes to ensure our complement of professors is as diverse as the students that we serve and that we teach. We have purposefully created Sheridan-funded bursaries for Black and Indigenous students to increase the representation of historically underrepresented groups. And then to be more proactive and upstream, recognizing kind of barriers to access. We've committed to and invested in a youth-focused programming initiative called Youth Amplified. So, you know, we're doing lots. We're doing EDI work in Kenya right now. We just finished an Indigenous initiatives review, and we've got some funded research in this space. Again, it's a journey. I think it's a marathon, not a sprint.